Hi, I'm Jim. This is Call to Battle. I'm here to talk about marriage again. Okay. No, as I tell you, I watch a lot of podcasts, Christian and non-Christian. I'm just trying to see what's out there in the world, and I see more and more of this negativity about marriage and people being down on marriage and is it really needed today? Matter of fact, I found this article. I found a little interesting. Here it is for you, where it says, while the traditional ideas surrounding marriage may be shifting, 83% of participants said they would like to get married at some point, though 85% also report that they don't feel marriage is needed to have a fulfilling, committed relationship. Now, part of that's funny for me. I'm like, so you don't need to be married to have a fulfilling, committed relationship. What they're saying is, you don't need to commit to a person in order to have a fulfilling, committed relationship, because that's what marriage is. It's a commitment. But you can have a committed relationship without being committed. I don't understand how that works. But I'm just intrigued by the view of marriage and how people keep sort of talking down on it. And I'm like, I don't know how you have a society without marriage and children. People are like, well, you don't need marriage and children to have society. Yeah, you do. There's a lot to it, but just talking one aspect is, one thing marriage does? It teaches you that the world isn't about you. It is a major place where you start realizing you're here to care for others, like to care for a wife, to care for children. You learn very quickly, if you make it all about you, you're going to have a miserable marriage, a miserable life. It's when you start learning everything isn't about you, you start learning to be selfless. You start looking beyond yourself, your wants, just your needs. I mean, that's what makes for so many issues when you start realizing everything's not about you. And that's one thing you work on a marriage is, it's more than one person. But as you pour into these people, beautiful and wonderful things happen. And I just want to use an example of what the joy of marriage and how important it is. First of all, God created it. That makes it of the utmost importance. But I want to just go through something I went through this weekend, or last week. I just had a partial family reunion. I have two brothers, three sisters. Two of my brothers and one of my sisters and we got together. We rented a house, and my sons came. My son with his wife came, and each of my siblings, some of their children came to this event. But I think there's about 17 of us. That's just a small part of our family. We have so many siblings, and we're all married. We all have kids, and now our kids are having kids. It grows. Now, here's the amazing part of it is, I think my parents decided to get married. They decided to have 6 kids. Their kids decided to get married and have kids. And we're sitting here in this house. I think it was like 6 or 7 bedroom house, this beautiful Victorian house. We're all there, just having a great time. I mean, it was a joyful weekend. We just basically stayed in that house for the weekend. Each of us cooked a different meal. I took the easy way out. I just got pizza for everyone. But we each had time. And what we did was just move from room to room, having conversations. I just went from one room to the next room, just talking to I had nieces and nephews there. I had great nieces and nephews there. I mean, it's hard to think that I now have that in my life because I've gotten so old. But the conversations were just great, just wonderful. Catching up, seeing how people are doing, where they're at in their life, watching our children have children and watching them raise their children, or watching our children get married. This is an incredible time. And just the joy we had was just remarkable. The catching up and the sharing, because we live all over the place. I know I have siblings all over this country. And so we now get together for these reunions or for weddings, and unfortunately for funerals too. We get together, but as I was going from room to room, as I was walking around and just enjoying the time, I'm like, wow, marriage made all this happen. We've made commitments to each other. We decided to have children, and look at this. Look at this number. Just only some of us were there. Like 17 of us. That's just a partial reunion. And what a joy that was. I mean, the amount of laughter that happened. My son came up with these games, these really goofy games. It was called first generation versus the second generation. So no, my brothers and I, my sisters, the old people against the young people. Of course, the games weren't like running and stuff because I'm sorry, we're not at a point where they're just faster than us. But you made these goofy games, and we were laughing hysterically as we were playing these games. And at first, some people were hesitant to play, but as we went along, people were just having such a ball. And I'm thinking, well, if we were down on marriage, down on family, it would have been an empty room. But instead, we're not. We know marriage is a great thing. Now, I've been married 37 years. My brother, I believe, is at 40 or over 40. My other brother is, I think, at 30-something. My sister's at 30-something. I'm sorry, I lose track. It's who I am. I'm not great with details. Now, we've all been married, quite a while. We have our children, and by marriage, having these kids, it was a blast. Just being with them. My family keeps growing. I mean, we have 2 more nieces who are pregnant. So next year, if they come, guess what? We're growing again of how many people can be there. It just keeps growing. My family keeps growing. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. I mean, we're there from, I believe some of my nieces and nephews are in their 40s to some that are still in their teens. That's the spectrum you get when your parents have 6 children. And so, we had a baby there, and the baby, you talk about having a great time. This baby got handed from person to person. People were just loving holding them. All these mothers who children are grown had a chance to hold a baby, and they're just loving that. We had the men holding this baby. I mean, this baby got spoiled rotten with all these people, all these relatives around, and it's great to have that. I mean, marriage is why this happened. Marriage and family is what happened. So we believe in commitment. That's something we are. We are committed, and not just to our wife and our children. Now, some of my siblings, their grandchildren. We get involved with our children's lives. We love being involved with our children's lives. And some of my siblings who have grandchildren love being involved with their grandchildren. I mean, it's fun to watch them talk about spending time with their grandchildren, going to their sporting events or their acting events. Just the joy that comes from it is amazing. And this is because of marriage. Now, people say, well, marriage is hard or bad things can happen in marriage. Oh, you better believe bad things can happen in marriage. Bad things happen everywhere. I don't care what you have. Bad things happen. But when you work on your marriage, when you make your marriage a priority, when you're committed to your marriage, great things happen. I mean, I always feel bad when people quit on their marriage because they're going through rough times. Now, we can talk about different rough times, but I'm not going to. I mean, the basic rough times. It's through rough times when you can work through them, you will grow through them, and you become stronger through them. And then the marriage is better afterwards. But if you quit on rough times, if you give up, when they say in that marriage vow, for better or worse, what most of us mean is for better or better. No, for better or worse. And if you work through those worst times and grow through them, your marriage is stronger and more powerful. You show your children how to work through bad times. I mean, we live in this delusion that somehow I'll get married when I find the perfect spouse. It doesn't exist. There isn't a perfect spouse. I am not a perfect husband, a perfect father. My wife is not a perfect wife or a perfect mother. I think she's pretty close. We're not perfect. But I guess what we work towards is that perfection of always working on the marriage, always looking to be stronger. And when that happens, beautiful things happen. Just the joy of sitting there with my siblings, with their spouses. I mean, and they talk great of each other. They love their marriages. They love their kids. It's just a joy. Marriage brings out great things. It brings out wonderful people. It brings out great laughter and great sharing. And I tell you, it was a blast. We've already signed up for next year. My wife found a great place over a different house we're going to meet at, even bigger. And we've already signed up for next year's reunion. We cannot wait to be with each other. Well, we'll see some of each other during the year, but a bunch of us get together at once? Well, that'll happen next year. And we're so excited about it that next year we're all set to do it again, just to be with each other. Because we actually start realizing the only time we were seeing each other is weddings and, unfortunately, funerals. And I was like, hey, those are great. We love going to the weddings and we love being a support system for a funeral. But a wedding, it's always crazy. So many things are happening. It's wonderful. We have a great time. We laugh like crazy. We hug, we share. But it's like, to get away for this weekend, there's nothing on our agenda. There's absolutely nothing on our agenda except being with each other. The biggest thing you had to do is prepare a meal for everyone. But besides that, it was just to be with each other. And it was great. Family is a wonderful and awesome thing. And as this world is trying to get down on it, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, you love the Lord, we need to be shouting from the rooftops the joy and wonder of marriage. Well, I hope you're having a great week. Hope your week is going to be filled with great joy. And if you're married, give your spouse a hug. Let them know how much you love them and keep working on that marriage. Well, I'll talk to you soon. God bless.